The lead predator had vanished through a narrow, almost invisible door at the far end of the chamber, leaving behind a residue of ash and the metallic tang of blood in the air. The stranger paused, hand resting lightly on the father's shoulder, his eyes scanning the space as if reading lines of danger etched invisibly into the walls. "It is not just a creature," he said softly, voice carrying a weight that made the father's chest tighten. "It is a command of force. Every movement above and below is orchestrated to protect it. The city allows it, nurtures it, hides it from ordinary sight. And yet it can be undone." His words were deliberate, spoken with certainty, but the shadows around them shifted subtly, as though disagreeing with his claim. The father swallowed hard, gripping the sharpened stake like a lifeline. His children stayed close, eyes wide but determined, the terror of the previous hours tempered now by a fierce, hard-earned resolve. The stairs beyond the door led downward in a spiral that seemed impossibly deep, carved from stone so old that it absorbed sound, dampening their footsteps and the distant hum of machinery. The stranger moved first, silent, almost spectral, his eyes flicking to every shadow and irregularity, noting vibrations in the walls, in the air, and in the very stone beneath their feet. His brother followed, silent sentinel, while the father and his children moved as one unit, instinctively guarding each other. Each step seemed heavier than the last, as if gravity itself were complicit in the city's design, pressing down not just on bodies but on spirit, on courage, on the mind. The daughter's hand brushed against her father's arm. Her fingers trembled, but her grip was firm. The boy, though still shaking, mirrored her steadiness. Together, they descended into the unknown, the faint red glow from below spilling upward to illuminate the contours of their fear. When they reached the bottom, the chamber that unfolded before them was unlike anything human eyes were meant to see. Machines, large, industrial, and horrifyingly intricate, lined every wall, their surfaces slick with dark fluid. Pipes pulsed as blood moved through them, filtered and separated with mechanical precision, feeding a network of horrors far beyond the comprehension of ordinary men. Tables held cages where humans huddled, trembling, eyes wide, some already unconscious, all unaware of the machinery designed to end them. In the center of it all, the lead predator waited, tall and imposing, eyes glinting in the dim red light, observing the travelers as one observes pests. Its presence radiated calculated malice, a predator aware of its dominion, confident that it had already won. The stranger's gaze did not falter. "It is strong, intelligent, organized," he said quietly. "But it is not invincible." The father moved forward, stake in hand, heart hammering with adrenaline, terror, and raw determination. The stranger and his brother flanked him, moving as a single coordinated unit, striking with precision at shadows and movements that hinted at more predators waiting in the dark. The children followed, smaller but no less determined, striking when they could, their fear transmuted into necessary action. Every attack demanded accuracy, would only, driven into the chests of the creatures, reducing them instantly to ash. Metal, bullets, or brute force would not suffice. Failure meant death. The machinery hummed, relentless, its rhythm in time with the predator's assaults, as if the very tools of death were conspiring against the intruders. Screams echoed from cages as the humans realized too late that the world they had trusted no longer existed in any recognizable form. Amid the chaos, the father's son reached a small platform near one of the machines, curious and terrified, and a shadow lunged. The father drove his stake into the creature's heart, reducing it to ash, but the boy was grazed, bleeding, his wide eyes reflecting horror and pain. The daughter struck beside them, wooden stake in hand, ash falling around her like snow as she dispatched another creature that had been stalking her from above. The stranger moved with supernatural precision, striking creatures before they could leap, guiding the father and children with subtle gestures and whispered warnings. His brother moved silently, shielding the weak, dispatching the enemies that sought to flank them. It was an orchestrated dance of violence, a rhythm of survival, and yet the scale of the horror suggested that victory was only temporary. The lead predator watched, patient, calculating, knowing that even the smallest mistake could end them all. As they pressed deeper into the chamber, they discovered the full machinery of the predator's domain: grinders, presses, and pipes carrying blood into filters that would later serve as drink, while meat was processed with horrific efficiency into consumable portions. Humans, still alive, were trapped in cages, waiting for their turn. The father's stomach turned at the sight, bile rising in his throat, but he forced himself to focus. There was no room for hesitation, no space for moral collapse. Every strike, every motion, every calculated attack was necessary. The children, though shaking, followed instructions perfectly, their fear channeled into precision, as if survival had become instinct rather than choice. The stranger and his brother led them to a path through the machinery, a corridor that curved toward a final, hidden door where the lead predator had retreated. Beyond it, they could sense the apex of the horror, a being not merely carnivorous, but a planner, a manipulator, a force entwined with the city itself. The father's grip on the stake tightened until his knuckles whitened. The stranger's voice was calm, measured. "This is the heart," he said. "Here lies the one who orchestrates everything above and below. Destroy it, and you disrupt the entire cycle. Fail, and all of this, every human, every shred of resistance is lost." The shadows shifted, more subtle than before, as if waiting for their moment. The machines hummed, almost sentient, synchronized with the predator's awareness. And in the faint red glow of the chamber, the father realized the truth. Survival demanded more than courage. It demanded ruthless precision, unflinching resolve, and an understanding that this night would change them forever. The lead predator awaited behind the final door, and the city's hidden, hungering heart beat in anticipation of the confrontation that could decide the fate of all who had stumbled into its depths. The final door loomed like a threshold between the already unimaginable and something far worse. Its edges were slick, cold, and untouched by human hand, as if the city itself had forged it to guard secrets meant never to be discovered. The stranger's eyes scanned it, reading vibrations and shadows that betrayed its fragility to only him. "Beyond this lies the apex," he whispered, his voice a blend of awe and warning. The father swallowed, fingers tightening around his stake. His children, though pale and trembling, mirrored his resolve. Behind them, the stranger's brother adjusted his stance, silent sentinel, ready to strike at the first hint of movement. Every sense told them that what waited inside was not merely a predator, but a calculated civilization of the night, a society that had honed its cruelty into art. They entered cautiously. The room was vast, far larger than its entrance suggested, lit by a dim crimson glow that refracted off polished floors and the gleam of intricate machinery. At the center, a round table of impossibly refined design was occupied by men and women of unmistakable power and wealth, their faces composed, civilized, yet pale, their eyes glowing faintly in the low light. They dined leisurely, knives and forks poised over human flesh carved into precise portions. The smell of fried meat mingling with blood filtered into a dark, viscous juice. Around them, machines hummed and pulsed, processing humans in cages, separating blood from body, grinding flesh into manageable sizes, as though the room itself were a factory of death. The father staggered, while rising, but the stranger's grip on his shoulder reminded him that hesitation here would be fatal. The elite vampires, sensing the intrusion, turned slowly, their composure unbroken, eyes narrowing in recognition of intruders. The lead predator, the apex of all previous horrors, rose from the table tall, imposing, radiating control and calculated malice. "Visitors," it said, voice low, deliberate, each syllable resonating in the blood-filled air. "Curious. Brave. Foolish." The stranger did not flinch. Instead, he adjusted his stake, eyes scanning every possible movement, anticipating attacks invisible to the ordinary eye. His brother mirrored him, silent and deadly. The father's heart pounded, his children gripping their own stakes, eyes wide but unrelenting. In that room, morality became irrelevant, only survival and action mattered.